Happy, happy, happy Monday. What is my hair doing? You guys, it's a Monday. It is maybe the most Monday I've ever had. Ever. And we're going to talk about it because I have a lot of feelings associated with today. And I need to get them off my chest. So, first of all, hi, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody is starting their week on a strong note. But man, oh man, I don't know if you guys had the type of day that I had. It was a vibe, but not in a good way, I guess, if you can even say that at all. Before I tell you about my Monday, my extremely Mondayest of Mondays, I just want to say hello to each and every one of you. I am super pumped to be starting the week with all of you beautiful human beings watching from across the globe right now. Blech, can't even talk on a Monday. But really, I'm so truly grateful for all of your guys' support and for being here on a Monday night. It is not always the most fun thing to tune in every single night, but appreciate your guys' undying support so much more than you will ever know. And truly, it makes my entire day every single day when I get to come hang out with you guys and build this online community. All of that to be said, if you are clicking on to this stream on whatever platform you're watching on right now, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, or our OG Getter gang, hey, I'm glad you're here. My name's Isabel Brown. I'm an independent content creator and a live streamer every night, giving you a Gen Z perspective into what is going on in the world, and it is a very appropriate week for us to say what is going on, because there's a lot of insanity happening, and particularly we will be diving into 3 of the craziest stories that I've seen in a long time on the stream tonight. But we are live across platforms and super excited to be seeing a bunch of you guys taking advantage of our live chat feature across platforms. We love to do these streams in real time, truly live. This is all very unscripted, unfiltered. There is no teleprompter. There is no script or man behind the curtain telling me what to say. This is a truly independent and truly live stream. So we love to make sure that you guys take advantage of the live chat function on whatever platform you are watching on. If you want to say hello, where you're watching from, if you're a first-time viewer, let us know what the best part of your Monday was. If you have any questions or reactions to what I'm talking about throughout the stream, utilize the chat. We'll probably try to take a few questions at the end of the stream tonight. And I have some fun announcements at the end as well, so stay tuned for all of that. But I'm very smart. I'm not smart enough to read your mind quite yet. So use the chat. Make sure that you're taking advantage of a great opportunity for us to have a two-way dialogue throughout the stream. And let's say hi to some people who already are. Jessica on YouTube is watching from Monterey, California. Jessica, you are a freaking warrior. Monterey is beautiful. Like, I love the town where you live. But boy, it is probably difficult to live way out in California right now. Way to be a trooper, and glad you are here. Jeff's watching from Wisconsin on YouTube. EMB is watching from Kentucky on YouTube and says, best part of the day as soon as the stream starts, obviously. Thank you, EMB. You're so sweet. My fiance is watching. Brock. Hey, that's my fiance. Hey, Brock. Hi. Good to see you, my friend. Jonathan is watching on YouTube from Tennessee and says, the best part of my day, well, it was an overall beautiful sunny day, almost like spring. I love that. We all need a good spring day every once in a while. Gotta make sure our texts are turned off. Let's jump over to our Getter gang. You guys use the chat more than any other platform I've ever seen, so great job, because you are the OG stream community. Estefan's watching. Alex Padron is watching. Chiala is watching. Was a Teen Teacher is watching. I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute, Was a Teen Teacher, but I'm glad you are back. Christianity Out Loud is watching and says, happy Tuesday from Australia. Blows my mind anytime any of you Aussies or New Zealander Kiwis watch the stream, because it is wild that you're living in the future right now. I hope Tuesday is less of a Monday than today was, Christianity Out Loud, and I am glad you are here. Libertarian84 is watching, says, what up, Isabel? Guys, I will tell you what is up. Did anybody else just have the most Monday ever? Like, literally every tiny annoyance that could have happened to make it more of a Monday happened. Where, like, I spilled my coffee all over my white sweatshirt, my brand new white sweatshirt that I was super happy and excited to be wearing today, that got here yesterday. I have a big financial thing going on in my life other than tax season, which is stressful enough in and of itself. But like, I'm going to owe a lot of money to my apartment complex right now because of leases and rents and all of that stuff. So that's really obnoxious and just getting under my skin. I went to go film a man on the street thing at a college campus today, and it just so happened they were on spring break, and I just didn't even think about when spring break was supposed to happen, so I couldn't get any content over there for a man on the street interview today. Like, the whole day just kept compounding over and over and over on itself. But you know what? It was a good reminder that even in the midst of the insane days, I am so unbelievably privileged and blessed to be able to do all of this that I do every day as my career, and to have built a living out of telling the truth and making independent content and just challenging the narrative. So even with all of the silly little annoyances, I am so glad to be here with all of you today and just to be able to do this for my job. And I think gratitude is such a missing piece of American culture today, particularly for my generation. Dennis Prager, who was like my first boss with my first big kid job right out of college, always likes to say that gratitude is the root of happiness. And I think we miss out on happiness far too often in our modern society because we're constantly unhappy with our circumstances, with the people that are around us, always wanting to self-improve and be better. But sometimes it's just really important for us to stop all the wheels constantly moving all of the time and take a minute to acknowledge the things that you're grateful for in life. So if you haven't done that today, maybe it'll make it less of a Monday-y Monday for you. But gratitude really is such an important component in all of that. And I, for one, am incredibly grateful for so many things in my life, largely all of you and the gift that keeps on giving, the insanity of the people that we are going to talk about tonight. It wasn't a very big news day, and there wasn't like a lot of breaking stories that I thought it was important for us to cover in the stream tonight. I was scrolling through social media for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it was just really hard for me to find a big topic for us to talk about on the stream tonight. But then I came across 3 really wild one-off stories, and it reminded me that 2023 is a great time to locate stupid people on the internet. Is stupidest in the title of this stream technically grammatically incorrect? Yes, but I hope you can all appreciate why we are leaning into the stupidity of society, because it's getting really bad out there, in case you haven't noticed. Like, people are just dumb. Like, I have no other word for how to explain where we are at in society right now other than stupidity. And then it just drives my mind to whole new heights of possibility when I ask myself, how were you confident enough to say these things in public? Like, it's one thing just to be dumb, but these people are so dumb and so stupid that they will actually say these things out loud. And easily the story that takes the cake for this is a video that has really been making the rounds on social media throughout the last several days. I ended up making a short form video about this on Instagram and TikTok today, which started a lot of debate. So I'm very curious to know what you guys think about all of this, and drop your thoughts as you watch in the live chat. But comedian, now turned political commentator / news host-ish, Jon Stewart interviewed a Republican on his show that airs on Apple TV Plus about drag queens and Drag Queen Story Hour and culture in general that we're arguing about in 2023, and said something so unbelievably moronic that it truly blows my mind. Watch this.
You want to ban drag show readings to children?
To minors, yes.
Why?
Why?
What are you protecting?
Why can we prohibit children from voting, those under 18 from voting?
Why are you banning?
Also that.
Is that free speech?
Okay, so at first he's trying to make the argument, is banning Drag Queen Story Hour honoring the First Amendment and free speech? Which is a reach in and of itself, because nobody's really banning drag queen shows, right? Nobody's really trying to say you can't perform as a drag queen. You just can't do it in front of kids. We do stuff like that all the time. Like, kids can't go into bars, for example, and that's not violating your right to drink alcohol as an adult.
Are you infringing on that performer's free speech?
They can continue to exercise their free speech, just not in front of a child.
Why?
Because the government does have a responsibility to protect.
I'm sorry?
The government does have a responsibility in certain instances to
What's
protect
the
children.
leading cause of death amongst children in this country? And I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
It's not drag show readings to children.
So he asks, what is the leading cause of death amongst children in this country? And I'm really curious to know what you guys think. Most of you follow me on other social media platforms. So if you missed this video, please answer. If you already saw my video talking about this, don't answer in the live chat. But if you guys think that you have a general idea of what the leading cause of death for children in America currently is, drop it in the chat. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about this. John in our YouTube chat says, keep up the great content, Isabel. Hi, John. Thank you so much for being here. Colorado people are watching in the chat. Drop your thoughts. I'm really curious to know what you guys think. What is the leading cause of death for children in America today? Alex Padron has a great point while we're waiting. He films hours of content but only posts clips where he owns his opponent. Post the entire interview, John. Yeah, thank you. Chiala in our Getter chat has a guess for the leading cause of death amongst children in America today. Suicide. Anybody on Rumble have any guesses? I see you watching. Use the chat, Rumble folks. John says COVID. Just kidding. It is not COVID. Any other guesses? What do you guys think the leading cause of death among children is in America today? No other guesses? Christianity Out Loud says, I would assume the answer is some sort of illness. Safe Space 99 says fentanyl. That's a great guess. Fantastic guess, actually. All right, we've got a wide range of guesses coming through on the chat. Let's see what John says, and we'll go from there.
Correct, yes.
So what is it?
I'm presuming you're going to say it's firearms.
No, I'm not going to say it like it's an opinion. That's what it is. It's firearms. More than cancer, more than car accidents. And what you're telling me is you don't mind infringing free speech to protect children from this amorphous thing that you think of. But when it comes to children that have died, you don't give a flying fuck to
Lovely.
stop that, because that shall not be infringed. That is hypocrisy at its highest order.
Oh, it's so hypocritical. So much hypocrisy. So he tries to own this Republican lawmaker by saying firearms are the leading cause of death in America, not Drag Queen Story Hour. So we don't need to ban Drag Queen Story Hour because it's not killing anybody. It's not endangering the life of any child, which I think any logical person would say just because it doesn't kill someone doesn't mean it's the most moral positive thing that we could be doing. I don't know. Just a thought, just to play devil's advocate. Just because you don't die doesn't make it good for you. But let's assume that's fine. Whatever. He's now trying to tell this Republican lawmaker, well, really, you don't care about kids. And you're hypocritical saying we should protect kids. Because in my worldview, the number one leading cause of death for children in America is firearm-related death. Is somebody shooting somebody with a gun. And you don't want to ban guns, so that's hypocritical of you. In and of itself is a massive logical fallacy. If any of you else watching this chat were speech and debate kids, this is not a direct correlation whatsoever. It's a huge logical fallacy. And basically, he's just saying over here in the corner, look at this shiny thing that is really easy to get your goat up about and easy to provoke emotion. I'm going to use this as a tool to try to prove my point. Even though they're really completely unrelated, I'm just going to try to make them look related in this conversation. It's a complete logical fallacy, but also, it's not true. Firearm-related death is not the number one cause of death for children in America. And before all of you come at me and say, oh, well, if you Google it, it says firearms. Yes, but also if you Google who can menstruate in America, you'll be shocked at what the answer Google will give you is. So don't look for the first Google response. It's a lot more nuanced than that. When you actually start to do the research, the CDC, which tracks mortality rates in America, has broken down child mortality into 3 categories based on age groups. So they break it down basically from birth to about 5 years old, from 5 years old to about 10 years old, and then 10 years old to about 14 years old. And fascinatingly, firearms are a cause in those factors of death, but in none of those circumstances, for 0 to 5 years old, 5 to 10 years old, or 10 to 14 years old, is anything related to firearms a leading cause of death. In fact, the number 1 leading cause of death for infants and for 5 to 10-year-olds is unintentional injury or accident. Basically, you fall and hit your head, you're in a car accident, something horrible happened that nobody ever could have foreseen coming, and it was just a total accident. Then, in the top 3, later on, comes homicide. For 10 to 14-year-olds, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Not the first, but the second leading cause of death. And fascinatingly, they don't specify how that suicide had occurred. Largely, that is a huge statistical factor into how firearm deaths are counted in the United States of America and makes up the vast majority of gun-related deaths in America. Suicide. Not homicide, not gun violence, self-harm, largely due to a mental health crisis that nobody in positions of power really wants to address for whatever reason. And we've spent a lot of time on the stream talking about the mental health crisis that Gen Z is facing, and that the next generation of young adults and teenagers is going to continue facing if we don't get a grip on what is happening within Generation Z. Just recently, we covered a new study that came out from the CDC, which found 1 in 3 teenage girls in America seriously contemplated suicide and taking their own life in 2021. So talk about a leading cause of death. More than any of that, though, more than what anybody wants to admit, if you are a human being of logical, sound mind and reasoning, and you can recognize the overwhelming scientific consensus that a child in the womb is a human being, it is apples and oranges, not even comparable, how much abortion is the leading cause of death in America. In 2020, Time Magazine did a whole research project where they pulled all of the data from various different points all across the United States, tracking child death. And fascinatingly, even in the midst of the pandemic, child mortality decreased in America in 2020. And essentially, there were about 26,000 children that died in America during the calendar year 2020. That's a lot of children, and that's heartbreaking and sad and was due to a number of different factors. But in that same year, in the year 2020, where 26,000 children died from every single cause that we possibly track, 620,000 innocent children died at the hands of the abortion industry that we know of. There were 620,000 legal abortions in America in 2020. So you want to talk about hypocrisy, Jon Stewart? You want to talk about hiding behind political talking points instead of actually caring about children? The entire argument that you're presenting in this argument, or in this back and forth debate that you so generously shared with us on social media, thank you for that, by the way, is that if we really care about kids, we should be shielding them from death. It's not about protecting their innocence. It's not about protecting them from drag queens. It's not about protecting them from adult sexual conversations. If we really care about kids, we should be shielding them from death, which allegedly happens most often with guns. Well, guess what? There are 620,000 children who would be about 2 years old today, 1.5, 2 years old, that we can't even have this argument about because they're not here. They didn't get an opportunity to grow up in America. They didn't even get an opportunity to be born. And it's so unbelievably shocking to me that our culture spends so much time arguing about leading causes of death and how we can protect people from danger, when in reality, abortion dwarfs any leading cause of death for any age group, but particularly, obviously, children in America by a factor that is almost incomprehensible almost impossible to wrap your head around. If you don't know how you feel about the issue of abortion, or you've kind of gone back and forth on it in the last several years, I totally understand that. I wasn't super fired up about this issue until the last several years myself. But after taking the fetal development classes that I've taken, after completing my degree in biomedical sciences, after spending the time talking to people who previously have worked in abortion clinics, like my friend Abby Johnson, who is unbelievably inspiring, among others, it is impossible for me to understand how people can't defend that human being. That is a genetically unique human being that has never existed before, will never exist again, feels pain unbelievably early on in fetal development, has tiny little fingernails and eyelashes and emotions that we haven't even fully studied yet or wrapped our head around. And there are still people like Jon Stewart who will try to tell you that gun-related violence is the biggest epidemic and the biggest genocide and the biggest violence problem facing America today. That's not to say that gun violence isn't tragic and doesn't deserve our attention. Of course it does. And we all might disagree on how to curb gun violence in certain different ways. But to completely ignore the literal genocide that has taken 1/3 of my generation, how stupid can you get? Alex Padron has a great suggestion in our YouTube chat. I would highly recommend looking into Live Action. They changed my mind on how I feel about abortions. Live Action does unbelievably phenomenal work, you guys, and I definitely do suggest checking them out. They have a whole series on social media where they go do man on the street conversations with people, and they'll ask how they feel about abortion. Usually they're extremely pro-abortion, and then they'll show them an animated video. It's not a real video, of what happens during an abortion procedure. And almost every single time the people that they talk to say that they change their minds because they just genuinely don't know what an abortion is, right? And I think most people in America don't. So in some ways, I can't even really fault Jon Stewart for his unbelievable stupidity in this conversation. Logical fallacies, yes. Stupidity, no. Because most likely, like every other American that considers themselves to be staunchly pro-abortion, he just doesn't know. And most people genuinely don't know. So take this as your sign, please, to go do the research and understand it for yourself. Luckily, since Roe v. Wade was overturned, we've had unbelievable numbers drop in the number of babies that are not aborted. So I guess the number of abortions that would have happened, that number has dropped significantly. Literally countless thousands of lives have been saved since that happened. Walgreens just announced today that despite their legal ability to do so in many states, they are not going to be providing the abortion pill at their pharmacies anymore, thanks to so many of you who have advocated for that. But this is not a partisan issue. This is not a who you voted for issue. This is a human rights issue. And I want you to know, I implore you, if you want to care about the next generation, it starts with giving them an opportunity at life to begin with. Unfortunately, my parents' generation bought into the lie that it wasn't worth it to keep their child, or that wasn't their child. It was just a clump of cells, or any of the other talking points that our abortion-friendly culture loves to use. And as a result, 1/3 of us are not here, missing this conversation that we're having right now, which is tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's hard to wrap your head around. But we can call out the stupidity when we see it. On a much more lighthearted note, you thought the stupidity ended there on the internet today. Nope. It gets so much better. I was sitting there scrolling through social media, and my friend sent me a link to an actual article from the New York Post. I talk a lot about dating as well on this live stream, as you all know. And I've been telling you all that my generation, shockingly, is not dating, either casually or in a committed sense. And we're not having sex as often as people thought that we would, especially being young and excited about this chapter of our lives. At least we're not having sex with human beings. I'm warning you now. This is just beyond wild. So I click on the link that my friend sends me. Actual article in the New York Post. I'm in a sexual relationship with airplanes. So I go on vacation a lot. Meet our next topic, Sarah. This is Sarah, who's 23 years old in Germany. She says that she is in a sexual relationship with airplanes and revealed that she went on 30 vacations in the last year just to take to the skies with her lover. The New York Post writes, her love of airplanes really took off. That's a good pun. A woman in Germany has revealed that she is now in a sexual relationship with aircrafts, and she has taken 30 mini vacations in the last year just to share the skies with her soulmates. Sarah, aged 23, claimed after experiencing turbulence while trying to date fellow humans, she discovered true love while on her first ever flight aboard a Boeing 737. Since then, she's met many planes, which she considers to be one collective being named Dickie. Odd imagery. She added that she finds the wings of the plane are the sexiest part of the plane, and size doesn't matter. I currently own 3 large models, but I also have many small models, over 60 in total, and they are custom made, the frequent flyer told NeedToKnow.online. Many are from airline or travel agencies, with the larger models measuring between 49 inches and 63 inches long. She says that she has spent nearly $4,267 on model airplanes, revealing that she identifies as an objectum sexual or objectophiliac, if you've ever heard of this. Yes, it is actually a real thing. It essentially happens when an individual develops a strong sexual or romantic feeling for a specific inanimate object, according to a medical journal that was published, or an article published in 2022 in a medical journal. Some academics have theorized that the condition could be linked with the autism spectrum disorder. This is Sarah and her model airplanes experiencing true love. Sensual. I'm proud to be an objectum sexual. It's a wonderful sexuality, she said. Other high-profile cases of this particular fetish include individuals in love with everything from a 1998 Chevy Monte Carlo to helium-filled balloons. However, she lamented the fact that she can't get any privacy with her soulmate, with her lovers. The only sad thing is that I can't be alone with a real plane. I flew a lot in the last year to be with the Boeing as often as I possibly could. I took about 30 flights and always combined it with a city trip or vacation. She said that she loves visiting new places with her high-altitude amour. With my love, I've traveled to Stockholm, Copenhagen, Paris, Budapest, Vienna, blah, 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 listing off their destination rendezvous. I also often visited a city in Poland as a day tour. She also has 5 airplane tattoos that she shared photos with the internet on. Brought a tiny airplane to go on the big airplane. Despite not being able to share alone time with the plane, she said that she makes up for it by sleeping with all of her models. Lovely! The aviation lover also says that she has 5 different airplane tattoos on her body. She's met a new plane that might give her main squeeze a little competition, writes the New York Post. I also have a bigger model that looks like Dickie but more detailed wings. His name is Charlie. How do we know that the airplane identifies as a male is my question. That's a very specific sexuality and gender identity preference that we're assigning to this airplane without asking, by the way. Despite the delays in her flight plan of spending time with Dickie, she says that she still hopes to one day walk down the tarmac with him to marry a plane. Currently, there are small plans to get married to the 737 series, all of it. Okay. So this is polyamorous love of airplanes now. However, I will not move abroad. In the meantime, I have my models and will continue going on trips to hang out with the planes. Every day, there's just new levels of insanity. How? Why? I can't. Alex Padron, great point in our chat. Why are we mainstreaming delusion? A fantastic quote from Ben Shapiro. Correct. Why are we mainstreaming delusion? How did we arrive at a time where not only is it normal to avoid marriage and avoid dating with intention and avoid sex in a more meaningful relationship than just casually throwing it around, to date one person because they will love you back much better than a group of people who are half in, half out will love you? How did we arrive at now we're sleeping with airplanes? Anybody? Nitty Witty has a great point, but the plane can't consent. Fantastic point. Charles Chamberlain says somebody call Dr. Jordan Peterson. Thank you. Thank you. Get on the case, please, sir. We need to analyze human behavior. Gator Kellogg on our YouTube chat says, I no longer identify as a fighter jet. Maze Page says, all vessels are she's. Okay, that's what I thought, right? People name their cars and their boats women names. Does Sarah just get to unilaterally decide that all planes are male? I don't know. These are the questions that we need answers to. Libertarian says, in the words of Lloyd Bridges in Airplane, looks like I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue. That sure would be helpful on this Monday of Mondays. But just in case you thought that it ended there, no. No, it does not. Our president of the United States, much like this woman from Germany who's sexually attracted to airplanes, has said the quiet part out loud, the part that you probably should have kept to yourself and never actually uttered into the ecosystem of humanity. Instead, he said it. Listen to this.
And I had these terrible headaches, was diagnosed with having anyway, they had to take the top of my head off a couple times, see if I had a brain.
Did you catch that? We'll replay it.
And I had these terrible headaches, was diagnosed with having anyway, they had to take the top of my head off a couple times, see if I had a brain.
They had to take the top of my head off a few times to see if I had a brain. Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. President. I, for one, am quite grateful for your honesty and your transparency during this process. Are we admitting this now, officially? That we don't know if there's a hollow space up there? That the doctors genuinely needed to figure out if this was a weekend at Bernie's scenario? We're all on the same page. Just to be clear. McKenna says they couldn't find a brain, so they just put the head back on. Well said, McKenna. Fellow Arizona girl. Charles Chamberlain says he's the scarecrow. Olifoot says, I still cannot believe he's in office. Really? I can, sadly. That's just the world we live in these days, people. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. I can't. People are stupid. And moral of the story with this live stream and these 3 insane stories that I was very excited to cover with you tonight, the world is full of idiots, okay? The world is full of sheeps. It's full of people that genuinely are not just dumb enough to believe these things, but actually utter it into the world. Which is why, to wrap this up full circle, it's never been more important for us to tell the truth and to be funny and to remind people that we are allowed to laugh at the perpetual insanity that we are constantly living through. I think we treat some of this so seriously, and we're so obsessed with beating the lies with truth and debating people and owning people that we disagree with, and rightfully so. The world is extremely confusing, and we're all just trying to make sense of it at any given moment. But our ability to share truth with people's lives is a joyful experience. It's not the burden that we always treat it to be. It certainly is difficult, and we won't make friends, and we are going to have people walk out of our lives, and we're certainly not going to be the most popular people on the planet when we dare to counter these insane narratives and pieces of content and destroy them with the truth. But we can also embrace this happy warrior spirit that I think so many people are forgetting about as we've started 2023, and honestly just feel extremely hopeless about where we are at as a society. I know I have felt that way a lot lately, and I'm sure so many of you are sharing in those feelings of hopelessness, just like I experienced in the most Monday of Mondays. It's easy to let the negativity and the insanity and the complete upside down nature of our entire society, not just in America, around the world, our entire reality is unfamiliar to us. It's rooted in lies and not in the truth. It feels like we are living in the upside down. And so it can be easy to be angry about that, to feel disparaged about that, to feel hopeless about that, to not know where we go from here. But the best way that we can stand out and bring people back towards any sense of reality and truth today is to smile and to laugh and not take everything so seriously because, as we say a lot on the stream, this world is not our home. And through all the bad Mondays and through all the insane, stupid people on the internet and through all the arguments you're going to have in DMs and comment sections and around the family dinner table, if you can smile and tell people the truth and be rooted in gratitude above anything else, you can make all the difference in the world. You don't need hundreds of thousands of social media followers or a blue check mark or the ability to go on national television or writing a book or go speak to a huge fundraiser or at CPAC or any of the things that you think people moving the needle are doing. You can move the needle yourself every day just by being willing to get up, to smile, and to tell the truth. And that's the message that I really wanted to share with you on this Monday. I want to take a couple of questions from our live chat because we haven't done a Q&A in a little while. And then I have some announcements at the end of the stream. So regardless of what platform you're watching on right now, if you guys have any questions for me about anything we talked about tonight, about content creation, about being engaged, about anything, about corgis, because I have a corgi, drop your questions in the live chat and we will try to take a few tonight in the next 15-20 minutes. While we are waiting for that, would love to shout out our amazing friends who you saw their logo in the corner of the stream tonight, Public Square. If you guys have not checked out Public Square, honest to goodness, what are you doing with your freaking life? Public Square is an online marketplace of tens of thousands of small businesses that share your values. And let's be honest, it has never been more important to support companies and to use your dollars to support those companies that share your values. So there's everything on this platform, everything from meat companies to skincare to local coffee shops, beyond anything you can possibly imagine, and it is tied to your zip code where you are, as well as national businesses. This platform is growing like crazy. They just became a publicly traded company, and they are rolling out a ton of new features in the next couple of months, including in-app e-commerce, which means just like Amazon, you can check out from any of the businesses that are listed on here within the app. Their goal is essentially to replace Amazon, and I think it's going to be very impactful and exciting and deserves all of your attention. So I just dropped the link in the live chat across platforms for how you can add your business. If you are a small business owner or even a national business owner, you definitely need to be on Public Square. No questions about that. Use the link that I just dropped in the chat and they will help hook you up with all of the great features that they are expanding every day. And don't forget, you as a consumer can go support them and find businesses in your area that share your values at publicsq.com or download Public Square, the app Public SQ, on the App Store or on the Google Play Store, depending on what your chosen app marketplace is. Christianity Out Loud says we need Public Square in Australia. They are rolling out international stuff in the next couple of months. I think they have a waiting list for that, actually, Christianity Out Loud. So if you go to their website, I'm sure it's on there. And actually remind me via DM here on Getter, I know you're in our Getter chat, to follow up with them on that. And I could probably send you a direct link for how to be on their waitlist for international e-commerce, because they're very excited about rolling that out. The stuff that we are dealing with in America is not a uniquely American problem. It is happening all over the world, and you Aussies understand that just as much as anyone. So follow up with me in the next couple days if you can't find it on their website. Obed PH says, hi, Isabel, in our Rumble chat. Hi, thanks for using our Rumble chat. If you have a question, please feel free to drop that for me. And across platforms, we'll try to take questions for the next 15-20 minutes or so. So keep dropping your questions. Alex says, not a question, but I found out I'm only 2 days older than you. My birthday is on May 25th, 1997. No freaking way. Almost birthday twins. My birthday is May 27th of 1997. So love that, Alex. And we'll have to do a fun little birthday thing for everybody in that last week of May on the stream for sure. May's page has a fun question in my YouTube chat. How many kids would you guys like to have? Raising kids is awesome. We might have different answers for this. So Brock, if you're watching, please feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat. I love kids. I've always wanted to be a mom for as long as I can remember. I am super open to adoption as well, not just biologically having children. So I've kind of always envisioned having 5 kids. I think we'll probably compromise at 4 because my fiance always said he wanted like 3 kids. So 4 sounds like a pretty great number. I also grew up in an uneven number of kids household, whereas a lot of my friends grew up in an even number of kids household. And I think there is something really great about the pairing off of siblings sometimes so that one person isn't always left out. So I have no idea. The long answer is however many kids we are blessed with, and we will go with that journey that God lays out before us, one step at a time. Obviously, it all starts with getting married first, and that'll be a conversation for a couple of years down the road, but we are very excited about being parents someday, and it's certainly something that we are passionate about. Peasant Zero has a question on Getter. Have you any ideas as a young person on how to fight local leftist organizations? Yes, show up. Local leftist organizations are exceptionally skilled at grassroots organizing and grassroots activism. That can look like a million different things, but largely it's protesting school board meetings and city council and your county commissioners and the mayor's office. And they generally don't have anybody who is opposing them in any significant sense. So there really is no counter voice for any of the things that they are boots on the ground protesting about or trying to make an impact about. So the easiest way to fight local leftist organizations is just to show up and to talk to people. You can absolutely look into more specific opportunities to get involved with different organizations and different chapters of national organizations at the local level. Turning Point USA is a great opportunity as a young person for how to get involved in your community. I started a Turning Point USA chapter on my college campus, but we are present on thousands of high school and college campuses across the country now, and in fact even have homeschool groups and city activism hubs and chapters for people who don't have a chapter at their school. So that's a great place to try to get involved. Students for Life also has a chapter-based system all across the country tied to education. So definitely check out the national level organizations that fight leftist organizations that have local chapters, and also just show up. Literally, there are no effective, like, local boots on the ground people in 99% of leftist organizations, activism, protests that happen all across the country that can effectively counter these people, because we just don't show up. We don't think about that level of activism far too often from the right side of the political aisle. So just get involved in any way that you possibly can. Jumping back over to our YouTube chat, Victoria has a great question. When we get closer to election season, can you share some resources to help us make an educated and informed vote, maybe a video? I always feel lost in the political campaign messiness. Absolutely. We're going to have a ton of content related to the 2024 election, and I'm very excited about sharing all of that with you guys. Maybe we can do like a mini series or something specifically about what's happening in the country going into 2024 beyond even who's running for president and vice president. Boy, is that going to be fun to see how that all shakes out in the next couple of months. And that is all I'm going to say about that. But absolutely, I would love to share some resources with you guys on how you can make an educated and informed vote in your community. McKenna is asking on YouTube, what are some of your tips for finding good long-term friends who share your values in school? Fantastic question, McKenna. Out of total curiosity, I'm very curious how old you are, if you're in high school or in college, or even younger than that. So drop your age whenever you get a chance in the YouTube chat. Generally speaking, You can find your people at any stage of life if you're bold enough to outwardly stand for the things that you believe in. And I say that because I think most of the time, most young conservative or young Christian students in their educational communities are timid about sharing the things that they believe in a really loud and brazen and powerful way in the midst of the insanity that they find themselves every day. And your people can't find you if you don't share what your values are, right? How is anyone ever going to know if they can't read your mind? You're in high school. Awesome. So especially in high school, it can be really easy to just keep your head down and go with the crowd and not want to speak out, not want to raise your hand, not want to ruffle any feathers, because nobody likes to be that person, right? And I totally fell victim to that for a long time in high school. And then once I started the speech and debate journey that I was on, being the speech and debate captain and kind of resurrecting our team that way, I just realized I didn't really care what my peers thought, and it was more important for me to advocate for the things that I believed in. So I often raised my hand and ruffled a lot of feathers in high school, and I did in college as well. The tough answer with this is that sometimes you won't find those people in high school or in college. I have one person that I occasionally talk to from high school, and I have a very small handful of people that I talk to from college. The vast majority of my absolute ride or die best friends that are out there who will be in my wedding as my bridesmaids, who I talk to every single day, those people I met through political internships, working at the White House, through friends of friends, like in my adult life, living in Washington, D.C., all different walks of life, working at Turning Point USA. And didn't really happen for me in my educational experience. And I don't tell you that to deter you or make you feel hopeless, because like my siblings, their absolute best friends are from high school, and they still are to this day, even after they're in college or have graduated. But it really looks different for every single person. And so the best advice that I can give you, if you're looking for that type of long-lasting friendship that shares your values and constantly encourages and inspires you and doesn't want to tear you down like way too many teenage girls want to, is to pray about that. Don't be afraid to share the things that you believe in so that those people can find you and know what your beliefs are, but also just pray, because I think there's a lot of missed opportunity to connect with people that God will put in our lives at the exact right time, because we're constantly searching for something that isn't right. And the absolute best friends that I've ever had in my life came into my life at totally unexpected circumstances. Never expected them to walk into my life. Never expected to stay in touch with them. And they're my absolute favorite people in the entire world. You're saying I'm in speech and debate, and the kids in that group are all pretty much mentally insane, so it's tough. Been there. There was a lot of that on my speech and debate team as well. And I hear from a lot of you guys in high school that it only gets crazier every single day. Don't lose faith. Don't feel alone. You are not alone. Literally millions of high school girls are feeling alone and isolated and confused about where they go from here and wanting to connect with their peers. I have been there, McKenna, and I'm happy to talk to you more directly about this. If you ever want to send me a DM on Instagram, I am super, super responsive over there on Instagram. So just remind me that we had this conversation, and we can follow up more one-on-one. But don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. There are so many other girls out there that are looking for the same friendships that you are looking for. And it might take a little bit longer than you'd like to find them, but you will find them, I promise. And in high school, it's easy to feel like everything is the end of the world all the time. And truthfully, it's not. And when you graduate, it's going to be a totally different perspective for you about the big questions in life and how you fit into that and why you are here. But you are not alone, and there are girls out there. Don't be afraid to share your values loudly and proudly so that those girls can find you. But even if they don't find you right now in this school year, I promise you they are right around the corner, and they are coming. Send me a DM, and I would love to follow up more directly with you as well. You said thank you, Yellow Heart. You are welcome. So sweet. All right, let's go over to our Getter chat. Dang, these are a lot of questions, you guys. Let's find a few. Oh my gosh, there are so many. I'm trying to pick a good one. Swoony has an interesting question. Could you date someone who did not believe in a god? Whew. I'm pretty sure one of my high school boyfriends that I had, who was like my dear, dear best friend growing up, I don't think he believes in God anymore, but he did when we were dating. Personally, I don't think I could date somebody who doesn't believe in a God, particularly the God of the universe, because that is where all of my values come from. That's where my moral compass stems from. I think that's where the moral compass of Western society comes from. And the moral relativism that we are living through right now in our modern society has become so confusing and upside down and backwards that I just don't know how I could align with someone that I would be dating or have any common interests with them if they didn't believe in God. Like almost every single night now, it's actually really funny, but almost every single night now, I have really deep theological conversations with my fiance about everything from heaven to what the apostles must have been like to really complicated Bible verses and how people disagree with those and what do we think those things mean, to the Eucharist and communion every Sunday, to confession, to baptism. Like, we talk about all of this all the time, and it is so intellectually stimulating and makes me want to deepen my faith in such a powerful way. And not once have I ever dated somebody before this that had that level of conversation with me about God. Even when they believed in God and they prayed every once in a while and they would go to church with their family, but they didn't have that personal connection themselves, I just felt like something was missing all of the time. And it is the most exhilarating, frustrating, but in a really positive way, emotionally deepening opportunity with the man that's going to be my husband to have these conversations regularly and to play devil's advocate and to challenge each other and broaden our perspectives. And truthfully is my favorite intellectual part of our relationship for sure. And we have those types of conversations about more than just religion, but I think our faith for both of us is the most important thing in our entire lives. And we want that to be the most important thing about our relationship, about our engagement, about our marriage, and eventually about our family and when we raise children. And I love that I'm having those conversations now because that absolutely means he's the person that I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with. So, long story short, to answer your question, no, I don't think I could date someone who would not believe in a God/God, Yahweh, period. Charles Chamberlain says, I've started watching The Chosen. Thanks, Isabel. And one of you also said this on YouTube. Alex said, I finally finished season 3 of The Chosen. Guys, I'm so glad you loved the stream last week with Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen. If you missed it on whatever platform you're watching on right now, go back and rewatch The Chosen and rewatch that interview with Dallas Jenkins. It was so thought-provoking and really, really stimulating intellectually. And you can just watch it on my account on whatever platform you are watching on right now. We talked to him last Wednesday, and if you haven't seen the show, definitely worth checking out. Alex, I'll ask you what my favorite episode and scene is, or I'll answer what my favorite episode and scene is in just a minute, but May's Page just donated in our YouTube super chat. Thank you so much, May's Page, for always supporting us in every way that you possibly can. You said, thanks for an excellent live chat and words of encouragement. You are so sweet, and you just totally turned around my Monday blues. I'm so, so grateful for you, May's Page, and thank you for being here every single day when I see you in the live chat. Very grateful for you. For those of you interested in The Chosen and my personal favorite episode and scene, oh my gosh, that is so hard because there's so much that has happened in this show. Immediate scene that comes to mind is when he called Peter and Simon at the time, Simon and Andrew and James and John while they were fishing, and he performed the miracle of all of the fish coming into their boat and their boat like capsizing, and just the pure joy and giddiness that they had when they looked at this man and they said, you're the guy, like you are the Messiah. So they immediately just dropped everything and dropped their entire lives to follow him. That was so well done in a very human way, in a tangible way. I think you read that story and you read it in black and white on a piece of paper where Jesus is saying, follow me. So they put down their nets and they followed him, and it feels very analytical. But when you watch it all unfold in a storytelling mechanism and looking at the humanity and the joy in their eyes and the light in their eyes and the excitement that they have, it just puts it in a totally new perspective and a totally new light. So that's probably my favorite scene. I don't think I could tell you a favorite episode. They are literally all good. They are all good. Alex says, I am the law of Moses. For me, was your favorite scene. Literal chills. Facts. Like, this whole show just gives me the chills all the time. It is unbelievably good, and I could not recommend it more. Alex is just firing off the most fire questions tonight. So, Alex, we will end with another question from you. Before I answer that, in our Getter live chat, a bunch of you guys are dropping guest suggestions. I am looking into all of your suggestions, so if you ever have suggestions for guests on the stream, keep dropping those in our live chat on any platform, and we will try to get as many of your guys' requested guests on the stream. Alex has a great question, and this is going to segue into our announcements for tonight. So don't go anywhere for our last question. Any books that you recommend to better understand the Catholic faith? Yes, I have a zillion of them. After I got back from Israel, I spent literally like $500 on books about the origins of Christianity and the church, and I have a ton. So Alex, send me a DM on Instagram to remind me that you asked me that, and I'm going to send you a whole list. But on that note, we have been spending the last couple of weeks talking about bonus content that doesn't exist through these live streams, but is going to be tailored more specific to subcategories. Number 1, dating, and number 2, faith-based content, which you guys have wanted more specific content about that isn't necessarily tied into the stream. We're still going to cover those things on the stream, but there's also opportunities for bonus content. So I will be making a more formal announcement about this across social media platforms in the next couple of days. But if you are not already a member of my Locals community, Locals is a platform that empowers creators to be totally independent and is a really, really great censorship-free alternative to other subscription-based platforms like a Twitch, for example, where we don't have to worry so much about stupid, nefarious guidelines and all of that stuff. Locals is where we're going to be posting a lot more faith-based content, dating content, special lifestyle things that will only exist on there. As always, these streams will always be free. We will keep doing them every single day. I'm still going to be posting content across platforms on every single platform for free every single day that doesn't involve a subscription model, but we are going to be doing some more nuanced content and specific content that, again, I'll be making a more formal announcement about in the next couple of weeks on Locals. So if you guys haven't already checked out Locals or you've never heard of what that is, I'm going to drop the link to my Locals community in the live chat. Right meow in like 2 seconds. I should have not led with that so substantially in the moment. Pause for dramatic effect. Pause. Here is the link to my Locals community coming to you in the chat right now. Go check it out. Go poke around over there. We're going to have some special stuff over there. The subscription is going to cost, I think, $4.99 a month. And mostly that's just because I'm a totally independent creator and I have to somehow pay the bills for my electricity and my Wi-Fi and all of that stuff, which I hope you guys can appreciate and understand. But I am so unbelievably grateful for your support and everything as well. So if it's too much for you, let's talk about that. We can do a promo code or something. I want to make sure this is as accessible for people as possible, but we will be doing some special Locals only content on dating and faith in the next couple of weeks. Again, more formal announcement about that to come. All right. What a time to be alive. Don't be stupid. Be smart. Go do research yourself to find out the truth. Then tell the truth to people all around the world because we need it. And don't forget to do it with a smile on your face. Love you guys all so very much. And I will see you tomorrow night for another spicy stream. Thanks, guys.